In 1982, Britain and Argentina went to war over a remote group of islands in the South Atlantic that the most of the world had barely even heard of. The conflict had just lasted 74 days, but in that short time, warships were sunk, fighter jets clashed in the skies, and hundreds of soldiers lost their lives. For Argentina, the invasion was meant to unite a struggling country. For Britain, it became the test of power, pride, and political survival. So how did two nations end up fighting a war 13,000 kilometers from British shores? This is the story of the Falklands War. Falkland Islands sit in cold waters of the South Atlantic, about 500 kilometers off the coast of Argentina. They are small, windy, and mostly covered by rocky hills and grasslands full of sheep. Despite their isolation, the islands have been strategically important for centuries. Britain has controlled the Falklands since 1833, but Argentina has long claimed them as their own, calling them Las Malvinas. By the early 1980s, about 1,800 people lived on the islands, most of them of British descent. To the islanders, they were British, but in Argentina, many of them believed that the islands rightfully belonged to them. In 1982, Argentina's government decided it was time to take them back. On April 2nd, 1982, Argentina launched a surprise invasion of the Falkland Islands. Just before that, they took the South Georgian Islands. Argentine forces quickly landed and captured the capital, Stanley. The British garrison stationed there was heavily outnumbered and was forced to surrender after hard-fought fighting by the Marines. Within a day, Argentina had taken control of the island. The invasion was ordered by Argentina's military leader, General Leopoldo Galtieri. At the time, Argentina was suffering from economic crisis and growing public unrest. By the military's hoped that reclaiming the islands would boost national pride and distract people from their problems at home. At first, it worked. Crowds in Buenos Aires celebrated the news, but Britain was preparing a response. The British government, led by Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, quickly decided the islands had to be retaken. Within days, Britain assembled a massive naval task force. Warships, aircraft carriers, submarines, and thousands of troops were sent on a 13,000-kilometer journey across the Atlantic Ocean. It was one of the biggest naval landing operations since World War II. Soon the fighting began. Argentine aircraft launched dangerous attacks against the British fleet. Using bombs and Exocet missiles, they managed to damage or sink several ships. One of the most shocking losses was the British destroyer HMS Sheffield, which was struck by a missile and later sank, causing one of the biggest death tolls of the whole war. The war was proving more dangerous than many expected. In May 1982, British forces successfully landed on the capital Falkland Islands. From there, they began advances towards the capital, Port Stanley. The soldiers had to fight across rocky hills, freezing winds, and difficult terrain. Some of the fiercest battles took place on Mount Longdon, Mount Harriet, and Mount Tumbledon. These night battles were intense and costly for both sides. But what was not mentioned here was a devastating but ultimately important battle of Goose Green that cemented the loss for Argentina, and meaning that they would never be able to retake this. And by June 14th, 1982, the situation was hopeless for Argentina's forces. That day, the Argentine commander surrendered. Falkland Islands War was over. The aftermath was that the conflict lasted just 74 days, but the cost was heavy. Around 700 Argentine soldiers died, along with roughly 300 British soldiers. 3 Falkland Islanders were killed due to crossfire or Argentine mishap. In Argentina, the defeat destroyed support for the military government, leading to the collapse of the dictatorship soon after. In Britain, the victory dramatically boosted popularity for Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. helping her secure her re-election the following year. Today, the Falkland Islands remain a British overseas territory, though Argentina continues to claim them. A remote group of islands, two nations claiming ownership, and a war thought thousands of kilometers from home. The Falkland Islands was short, but its impact shaped politics, history, and the lives of who fought in it. And even decades later, the dispute over the islands has never fully disappeared, and may well show its ugly face in the future.